Hello, everybody, and welcome to a little Football Friday on the Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Higgs, here on Friday the 16th, week 2 of NFL. What do you say to that? Wow. Wait, where's the time gone? Listen, before I get to Victor and Chip, I got to tell you, please hit the like and subscribe button here for the Winner Circle Podcast channel. All right, we're powered by gamblersworld.net. As always, 3, 7, 38 packages always guaranteed here. And with NFL, I don't say on the brink of starting because it is preseason, but rather regular season right around the corner. $5.99 early bird special is up. And again, I'm not a genius, but depending when you get on in the next couple weeks, that is like $25, $30 a week, somewhere in between there, depending when you get on. Not a bad deal. We all preach money management and stuff like that, and savings long-term definitely better. Baseball is here, $3.49 as well for the rest of the regular season. You'll find me, Chip, and our newest addition, Victor King. And we got 10 other cappers. We 13 in total on the site. But let's, I just met Victor about 6 minutes ago offline. And, so I didn't really get a chance to say hello other than compliment him on his great goatee look. That's fat. I'm a guy who I want to shave my eyebrows. I don't want any hair on, although I don't shave my body. We're going to go off the rails 2 minutes into the show, a minute 30 seconds. I do not shave everywhere, just my head and my face. But Victor, welcome. I'm sure it's a little awkward for you to tell you I don't shave myself, but get used to it. I'm an odd kind of duck. But welcome to the gamblersworld.net website to get the picks going, and here on the Gamblers World podcast every day, 5 days a week. I know you'll be joining us more often here, but last week you were Chipper, and again, thanks for showing in, Chip. I was down in Vegas there for signing up for the contest, but I'm going to start with you because I don't know. I know you through the playbook and having that magazine, getting that stores and stuff through the years, but let the folks know what's going on. How are you?
Absolutely.
Introduce yourself to the world.
You're probably referring to our. This is one of our playbook publications. It is our Mark Lawrence Playbook yearbook magazine. It is a pro college preview. We put it out. It's available, of course, on all newsstands. I've been with Playbook since the summer of 1999. I'm going on my 26th year here now, handicapping at Playbook. I'm officially the database analyst here. I enter all the results in from the various different sports and update our databases. The key databases that, of course, Mark Lawrence uses for his handicapping and I do for my over-under handicapping. And again, Sean, an honor to meet you. I met Chip last week. Big fan of Chip and all the guys who were on the Pro Line show way back in the 80s.
Yes.
Of course, Dave Koken and Jim Feist. I do a weekly podcast with Jim Feist every Wednesday. I consider him a friend. Again, this has been a real honor for me, and I'm glad to contribute as far as the upcoming season goes.
Should be a good season. And yeah, you mentioned the Pro Line show. I remember watching that on it was on the USA Network back in the day,
right.
Like 7 a.m. I'd watch it, in the 90s. It was great. And Feist and Coca just passed away, but that whole crew is like, and even you, when I talk to people or I meet people who I've seen like magazines or on TV, it's like, oh, you're like a celebrity, like how people look at it like, well, this guy's a nut job. No, really, like I look at it as you're in a published thing, you're on TV. It's like, wow, you're pretty darn good at what you do if you're going to be out there like that.
Absolutely.
So, and I don't say it to Chip enough because I've been on sites with Chip for many years going back now. And but yeah, it's I tell my wife, kids, I'm like, hey, these guys are on TV. So like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, you're not a crazy wacko degenerate bettor. You would have known that they were on TV at 7 a.m. in the morning to catch them on Saturdays and Sundays. I loved it. In the magazine, you got to get the playbook. It's great. It's great. Chipper.
Yes,
my guy. How are you?
Not bad. I rebounded from my bad day and came up with a big winner last night, which I'm in Major League Baseball. I'm happy. And I'm telling you, we've got 3 huge games Saturday that are already loaded on the website right now. And Victor, I just love the playbook. I've always been a big fan and used it year in, year out. The stats that are in there are just fantastic. So anyone that's out there that hasn't gotten it or isn't familiar with the playbook, you ought to check it out because it's really got some great stuff in it. But it's football's here, Sean. I mean, it's a big weekend, and I'm excited about it. I have a really top-notch play out there on Saturday, and I wish they were kicking off right now.
weird that last week we had the Friday game. Like, why wouldn't they have a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, Sunday? It's not like it's a wild card weekend, but it's like a random preseason weekend. It should be all 4 days. And normally the NFL is good at like capitalizing eyes on their product. Like NBA, you want to play on Christmas? Yeah, we're going to roll out a triple header and show you. Like, we'll play Christmas too. So to do this is just bizarre. You think they'd have something going on, but they'll live and learn. They'll do something next year to annoy us, whether it be a new kickoff or put it on 1 day a week or something. Get the new kickoff rule. So today's show, folks, we're going to talk some NFL preseason. We got a game we'll talk about a little bit. We're going to hit the comments. We'll probably hit other games as well. Maybe some baseball if you guys want to talk about baseball in the chat, or even here if we got something big going on. But we're going to start out with, we'll start with you, Chip, because I see already in the chat we got a this state in history coming up from our guy Mar. So we'll start with Chip so we can roll out with a this state in history right out of the bat because people love that. We should, our guy Seth does all the work behind the scenes, like timestamp and load up. We have to timestamp to this date in history so people could actually just go and be like, oh, what happened today? So they don't have to look for it and find you where Chip's talking. It could be, here we go. We're at the 6:25 mark or whatever. Chipper, this date in history, start it up. Let's go. Something good had to happen in 1947.
August, I got something before that. August 16th. Some of this is not going to be so pleasant to hear. In 1920, on this date, August 16th, Carl Mays was pitching for the Yankees, and he happened to bean the shortstop for the Cleveland Indians named Ray Chapman.
Wow.
And the next day, Victor, you're aware, obviously you're a historian, Victor. You might actually read about this stuff. Sean, if he hasn't seen it visually, doesn't know anything about it. But Chapman died the next day in the hospital.
Right.
It's the only Major League Baseball player fatality that has ever been recorded during a game.
Happy Friday to everybody for that one. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that was 1920.
Guy dying for playing baseball. Thank you.
He did. He died the next day, though. At least he didn't die on a field like an umpire did.
Well, they probably didn't have helmets, though, too, right? So you're just taking a fastball off the head.
Yeah, most likely. And in 1927, the first ball ever hit out of Comiskey Park was hit by Babe Ruth, and that happened on this date. Now, I got a great one for you. In 1947, a guy by the name of Ralph Kiner proved that chicks dig the long ball. Remember that campaign we had in Major League Baseball years ago? Well, this started in 1947. There was a game between the Cardinals and the Pirates where 10 home runs were hit. Ralph Kiner had hit 3 in a row. This is his second year in the major leagues. He led the National League in home runs 7 consecutive years, his first 7 years in the major leagues, a record that hasn't been challenged yet. He then hurt his back. But remember I said chicks dig the long ball? Do you know who Ralph Kiner dated during his career?
Like everybody else, Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah, close. Close, very close. He dated both Janet Leigh, who Tony Curtis married, and Liz Taylor, believe it or not. So Ralph Kiner proved that chicks do dig the long ball.
First of all, Liz Taylor was married. I know she was married probably 15 times. So I mean,
7 times.
7.
Yeah.
Oh, only 7.
But they didn't bother getting married. They just canoodled.
Canoodled?
And yes. In 1964, Curt Flood got 8 straight hits against the Dodgers in the doubleheader, but he may have won that day, but he didn't win in court. We know that. I got to come up in 2008 when Usain Bolt won the 100 meters in Beijing, the first of his 3 gold medals in that event. 100 meter never been matched. And in 1976, this was one of my favorites. The NFL played their first game in Japan. It was in Tokyo. The St. Louis Cardinals beat the San Diego Chargers 20-10. And the reason I can tell you about this was I was in attendance in this game. I was going to NYU, working on my master's degree at the time when I had ambition, and actually went to this game and saw the Japanese knew nothing about football to the point of where Jim Ray Hart played baseball. Jim Hart was the quarterback for the Cardinals. He threw a 65-yard pass that went 10 yards over the receiver's head, and they gave him a standing ovation because they had never seen a forward pass like that. It was their first exposure to American football. So, of course...
I was going to make a joke about in invading the country, but we were already out of there by now, right? That was already.
Yeah, well, we didn't actually invade. We just dropped a few.
All right, easy. We don't want to get demonetized here talking about That stuff's not allowed, I don't think, on YouTube.
But
You can't talk about
it
history.
was great to be there. I mean, they were cheering and ranting on events that had nothing to do with the game, and they just didn't understand the game at the time, and I found it quite humorous. But that was in Tokyo, Japan, 1976.
This day in sports, sad, happy. There's a lot of emotions across that one. People dying to start, but then you talk about Chip's youth. So we had guys getting lucky. So there's always good things to talk about. But good things to talk about here. You're going to be talking about the Falcons and the Ravens. You want to discuss here. Now, we all know last year the Ravens had that huge run of covering games and this and that. So we had a lot of love on them. They ended up losing to did they lose Eagles week 1 in preseason here? And you look at this line, it's a low line here, -1. A lot of hype on the Falcons for the regular season, but this is preseason. We got a 1 and a 35.5 here with the Ravens and Falcons. What do you think here about this one, Chip?
Well, what did the Ravens do? What did Harbaugh win? 22 games in a row, and he covered all those games too, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Now we got to the point where, I equate it to baseball. When a team goes on an 8-10 game winning streak and then they get beat, they sort of lose their karma, and it takes them a little bit to get back together again. And I think this is what's happening to the Ravens after having been defeated last year. Since that loss, they haven't covered a game yet. I think the odds makers are telling you that the Ravens are just going through the motions here. Now, Atlanta, of course, drafted Penix, and a lot of people couldn't understand that after they had signed a free agent quarterback from Minnesota. But the Atlanta Falcons are a team that's favored to win their division right now, and there's a lot of talk on them and going around about this is a team that's going to emerge and they're going to come on. They got the running game, they have the defense, and we'll have to see about that. But the point is about this game is I don't think that the Ravens are coming after it to win. They're only a 1-point favorite at home. We know the Ravens are one of the contenders to go to the Super Bowl, and yet here they are at home in a virtual pick'em situation. So I just don't think Harbaugh is going to be concentrating on showing too much. And I think they're looking to get out of this game healthy. I'm going to take Atlanta Falcons as an early bird play on Saturday.
Victor, thoughts on the Falcons plus the 1 there?
Yeah, it's an interesting game because, the lines keep moving in this one. I'm showing Atlanta opened up as that short road favorite. Now there's apparently late week action coming in on the Ravens in this particular game. There's even some picks out there. So it's one of these preseason games in which there seems to be some flip-flopping. I will definitely join Chip in a small play on Atlanta in this particular game. I would lean over as well. Probably, it's nowhere near as strong as our over of the week that we'll be giving out later here on the podcast. But I would also lean over in this particular game also.
Yeah, the line here just tells me the Falcons are the play, right? You look at it, the coaching, the way coaches attack things. Harbaugh is a guy who always kind of won, but you look at this one here, it tells you that, it's not the same team. I'm a depth chart kind of guy for quarterbacks in preseason, and this team's a little different. I know what's his name went over to Cleveland from the Ravens, Huntley or whatever. He's gone. He was a guy who was familiar with the system, so he's out of there. And maybe the Ravens. Let's be honest. I'm gonna tell you, I love them in Week 1 over the Chiefs. The way their season ended so poorly, I think they're at a point where it's like, you know what? Forget about preseason here. We got something bigger to worry about. The Falcons, new quarterback. They got they bring in a guy who's coming off an injury, and they draft a rookie who everybody kind of loves. That's a team that's looking to build a little excitement. And the line here, I'm with you all. I like the Falcons, and I can kind of agree with you over there. I think you're going to get, with the loss of the 4th preseason game, I think teams decide what week we're going to go kind of all in here. This looks like it's an all in for the Falcons in this spot today. Yeah. So they're going to get a good offense, where other teams are going to say, you know what, we're going to do it next week because we have a bye week before the season starts. We're off the whole next week. So I think a lot of the overs, you saw them all, a lot of them got bet up a couple points here to start the week too, like 2 points a lot of these games. So I would say as a group play, I guess Atlanta in the over, but the official chipper play is the Falcons. I got to write it down. ATL minus the 1 here. Excuse me, plus the 1 point. And yesterday, Chip, you did drop the Boston total there. And I was with you on that Oriole total. But we did go 2-1 overall in our free picks yesterday, folks. So not too bad. Not too bad. That is 6-3 on the week. 6-3-1, by the way. So not a bad one. We got a couple comments. A little quiet on the comments today. It starts off with Betty. He's like, "Where's my guy, Betty? I'm going to be the new guy. So you can get used to me, Chip, and Victor, and Doug, the crew here. That's the that will be your guys. It'll be all of us hanging out, having a good time, Betty. Good to see you though. And of course, Mar is here. He said hello to Chip earlier, and of course, he was talking about the state history. That's why I said let's run because Mar's a good listener. He comes in all the time. And Taylor Henneke for Atlanta. Yes, this is when you look at the depth chart. This is what I like to look at, Victor. I'm like, I got a guy who's come in, or he will be coming in, and let's be honest, he's battling Penix for a backup spot where he's like, I was a starter here. I've won games in the NFL. And yet I got to come in and prove myself. That's why I kind of like a team like Denver with like Stidman and Wilson and these other guys. You've got teams that have guys who are looking, Mac Jones and CJ Beathard we'll be talking about when we get to your game in a second here with the Jaguars. You have guys, hey, Timothy, you have players that are out to prove something, out to stick, out to learn systems. They're going to be out here throwing the ball. And I'm going to throw the ball to you here with the Jags and the Bucks. The total, let me pull up the little banner here. I have it. There we go. Tampa Bay, 2.5. I saw this open at 1. I saw it get up to 3. Now it's 2.5. Total is 37, which has basically been pretty much the same. Hasn't really gotten too crazy here at total. I'm looking at it. Not much movement there. Open the same. I see a random 36.5, but this is your puppy. I'm going to have a lot to say on this one after the fact, but go for it. What are your thoughts on the Bucks and the Jags?
Well, first off, guys, a really quick review of what happened from a totals perspective last week. Week 1. If you were an underbetter, you probably had a pretty good week last week. 4 games went over. 12 games ended up going under the total last week, 75%. The average line last week was 37.4. Average combined points per game was 32.8. That was your average last week. The average game ended up going under by minus 4.6 points. And a lot of bettors are knee-jerk bettors. All they do is bet what happened the previous week. So one would think that some of those squares out there may be leaning a lot more unders than overs this week. I would tend to disagree with you there. I'm pretty sure you're going to see more overs than unders in this particular week. And don't forget what happened last season in the 2023 NFL preseason. Week 2, when both teams were playing their second game of the season, 9 overs, only 5 unders last year, 40.1 points per game. And you threw Tampa Bay, Jacksonville. That's the game I'm taking. And guys, I am going to be going over the total. It's the last game on the Saturday scheduled game, 7:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff. It's one of the games down here that we've played in the Sunshine State. And of course, these teams have played each other a lot in the preseason. The Jaguars and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 70%, 7-3 over under in the last 10 meetings have indeed gone over the total. And, Sean just made a good point about when you're looking at totals in the preseason, it is important that you look at the quarterback rotations. How deep can we go in those quarterback rotations in which these guys have had actual pregame experience and even regular season game experience? And you got that in this one. Obviously, we know the starters will not be going in the game. So now let's look at Jacksonville's second and third string quarterbacks. Mac Jones was a 3-year starter for the Patriots before, of course, being benched in that final season. He's still young, he's confident, and he's going to want to show some of those traits, that led him to be a first-round pick. Not only that, CJ Beathard, their third-string quarterback, He's played in 32 games over the last 6 seasons, has plenty of real game experience, and looked good last week against that game against the Chiefs. We know for the Buccaneers on the flip side here that Kyle Trask will be getting the start. And of course, he's a guy that still has aspirations of becoming a starter somewhere in the league. So you got a really good lineup of quarterbacks with plenty of experience. We're not concerned that the starters will not be going at the quarterback position because, again, we got plenty of guys that have had experience. Not only that, guys, but I've got a couple of situations out of our database that also point to a high-scoring game here. This is one of those weird ones where you got the fact that Jacksonville also played at home last week, and Tampa Bay also played on the road last week. So we've got a situation that I uncovered out of our database that has gone 16-2 over under, dating all the way back to the 2010 season. When I say 16-2, it means 16 of these games ended up going over. Only 2 of them went under. And that situation is any team in the preseason playing their second of back-to-back home games against any opponent who's playing the second of back-to-back road games. This game applies. There's one caveat. The over-under in these games must be 37.0 or less. And the last time I looked, we were in the range in this game of 36 to 37, somewhere in there, 36.0, 36.5, 37.0. Obviously, you know 37 is a key number in the NFL. If you can find a 36.5 or less, I'd make this a regular 3-star play on the over. If you're forced to go with a line of 37.0 or higher, I might downgrade it ever so slightly. But again, you got some good situations out of our database. You've got a series that's historically high scoring. You got plenty of quarterback experience. To me, it spells a higher scoring game than people anticipate down here in the Sunshine State on Saturday night.
Official Victor King play here over the 37, and I tend to agree, and I'll get Chipper's opinion in a second. But you mentioned Mac Jones. I always say, like, I feel bad when these rookie quarterbacks come into situations. Like, he goes to the Patriots, you're thinking, oh, it's the Patriots, it's Bill Belichick. The guy had different coordinators every year. I mean, he had a special teams and a defensive coordinator as his offensive coordinator one year. How the heck are you going to develop? How are you going to develop doing that? But yeah, you got him, Beathard, guys going to come in. Beathard's been in the system, so he's going to come in here and chuck it left and right. Trask wasn't terrible. He was a guy they drafted to replace Brady in Tampa Bay at the start of the second round. So he's got a lot to prove. But Chip, go ahead.
I'm happy to be Victor. I'm happy you chose this Jacksonville game because I used Jacksonville over Kansas City as my top play of the week last weekend.
Nice.
And I expect them to come back a little bit. And my instinct here was this line being so low and Tampa playing their second straight road game. I think Tampa Bay is probably the side. I was just so happy with the Jacksonville's result last week that I'm looking past them. I don't even want to think about this game. The late game between the Cowboys and the Raiders, by the way, Victor, this game starts at 10 o'clock Eastern time. I think is a key play, and I'll be using that. It's already posted at gamblersworld.net. But I would go against Jacksonville just off the fact that they beat the Super Bowl champions in week 1.
Speaking of gamblersworld.net, we got the $5.99 early bird is up. Go get it.
Right.
Any three of us, if you want to get down, super. We have other cappers there. We have a leaderboard, but NFL $5.99 early bird. Go get it. Start making some money here. The truth pops in. Says the Lions will cover 7 this week. Chiefs will get all the public action. This is a big line here. Now I'd be interested. I mean, a 7, but you kind of understand here. The Chiefs are going to come out usually once in the preseason and are going to probably bring a little bit of an A game. This tells me that you got a Mahomes sighting here for at least a quarter or more, right? I mean, it's a 7 spot here.
Number seems huge, Sean. It really does. But is this guy a Detroit Tiger fan? I'm just wondering. Maybe his allegiances are a little, say he may have a bias in looking at this game.
When you come with the big the Detroit symbol, you might be a slight homer. But listen, what do we got here? We got Nate Sudfeld playing and Hooker playing for Detroit. I mean, where is their they have their eye on the Super Bowl, right? They were right there last year. They thought they could get in. What are they risking here in Kansas City? Yeah, because they played Kansas City last week to start the season. How'd that go for them? Like, they got nothing to prove here, right? They're not out to. Maybe you want to do a first half here. Maybe for me, I'm not really interested in this game at all. Wasn't really up on my radar. But the 7, it's tough to think they get the public action because I think people think it's regular season. Why wouldn't they run to Detroit? Again, I have nothing on it. The line says it opened at 3 this opener? Hold on. I have it right here. 3.5 to 7. Again, that kind of stuff tells me all you need to really know about what the odds makers think. And again, these cats live in the Caribbean and they're in billion-dollar casinos in the desert. So if you think it's going to be easy beating them, it's really not. That's the way I look at it. They're in a building in a desert that has no water. They have to import water and food for themselves. So I don't think it's going to be that easy to go in here and say, let's take Detroit because everybody's going to be all over the Chiefs here. But, Vic, you got any thought on that game?
I was able to run a couple systems in our database while you were speaking, and here's what I got. Any Game 2 team in the preseason who's favored by more than 6 points. 3 of them going this weekend. You mentioned Kansas City versus Detroit, Las Vegas versus Dallas, and, of course, Denver versus Green Bay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-2 ATS since the 2010 season. I would normally think that you grab the points in these games, but the database is telling me that favorites of greater than 6 in their second game of the preseason have actually gone 10-2. So for me, it would almost be a lay it or lay off of the game.
Yeah. I did not think it would be. I was going to say it's probably about like 62, 63%, like a number you wouldn't think would be that high when you see something like that. 10-2. And that just goes to show it goes back your database because like you said, that was back to 2010, right?
Right.
That was back in the old 4-game kind of thing. It goes to show you how rare it is, but yet high on a weekend. We have 3 this week.
Yeah. Where
in the last 14 years, there were 12. Now there are 3, a quarter of them right now coming up. So that's the kind of stuff that you really don't pick up on until you really dig and start doing some research on games. Because
also, Sean, it's interesting that out of those 3 games, 2 of them are still teams who are undecided at the number 1 quarterback position for the season. And, of course, the Raiders with Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. And, of course, Denver, who is yet to announce a Week 1 regular season starter. So it's not surprising that in 2 out of 3 situations, we are still talking about a true quarterback competition.
Yeah. And, again, you got Minshew, who's a guy who's won games as a starter, comes in, wins games out of his butt as a relief guy coming in, saving the day in second half regular season games. And then in Denver, you got, everybody's on Bo Nix, and then, Zach Wilson's looking for another shot getting out of New York. And here's another guy I feel bad for. He gets drafted.
Yeah.
He comes into a situation, a bad Jet team, new head coach, coordinator. Next year, new coordinator. Oh, by the way, we're going to lose half of our offensive line to injury. Then let's bring in a Hall of Famer and his offensive coordinator, and he gets hurt, and you had no reps all season. How are you supposed to develop these quarterbacks doing that to them? It is, and again, I'm not some Zach Wilson fan or Mac Jones or insert any guy who's failed. It's just a tough Sam. We could talk about Sam Howell in Seattle, like that guy, right? That guy's supposed to be a number 1 pick out of North Carolina. He slips, he gets picked up by Washington. They don't play him at all, and now he's battling it out up there behind Geno. But crazy stuff. Again, and for me, the quarterbacks are huge in preseason. It's something you definitely 100% have to look at. We got Mark coming in, liking the Texans to win and lay the small number. Keenum and Davis Mills to play good. Again, 2 good guys. I think Stroud gets a series or 2, and I think they're playing hard for the coach preseason. Well, listen, they love the coach. And listen, I didn't think they should get Davis Mills. I was like, no, go after like a playmaker, get something else. I thought Mills was decent. They had a running back. They got a couple other guys. Keenum's another one who's won games. What do let me pull up the live line on this Houston game. Where is it? Against the Giants. Here, yeah. 5.5 down to 2.5 in this one, Victor. What is the thought on that? I mean, because honestly, I don't think that Tommy Cutlets up here, DeVito, is better than Mills or Case Keenum, but the line was the 5 too many, and this is the Texans winning by 3 at home. What are your thoughts?
Again, I just went into the database, and to me, the most interesting aspect about this game is, of course, Houston played in the Hall of Fame game. This is their game 3, while it is the Giants' only second game. So that's always an interesting scenario to run through your database. How do teams do playing their third game of the season against a team playing their second game of the season? Well, guess what? Home teams have not done very well at all. In fact, since 2017, we're only going back about 5 or 6 years. Home teams in this situation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0-7-1 ATS. That is against Chicago this week, hosting Cincinnati, also playing their third preseason game, and against Houston, against these New York Giants. Again, the database is telling me that even though you'd think that extra game of experience should pay off, that according to our records and our data, it actually doesn't.
I'm going to say to this, and then I'm going to throw it to Chip, and we'll lead into his next one. I think that with the game ones, with Hall of Fame games, the team plays that game. They got to get the little wheels going. Week 2, they come out, balls to the wall. We're playing. We're in our rhythm. They're going to get a good win there. Game 3 is kind of like, let's go through the motions.
Yeah.
Work on something that didn't work out good for us in game 2. And you get into this. They're not covering games as favorites because people think like, they're ready to go. But Chip, your thought on this one here?
Tommy Cutlets.
Yes.
That's all I got to tell you. Last week you thought you disparaged him. You said little naughty things about him, and what did he do? He came up with a big win for us again.
I like Tommy Cutlets last week.
No, I do too. It's preseason, and some of the guys that are the worst are not expected to make it. Actually, sometimes perform pretty well. And but this Giant team has an attitude of looking to win every game, every time out, including in the preseason. This is a philosophy of their coach Sable right now. Jones will be playing, and Jones wants to play, and he's been notified that he will play a good portion of this game. And like you said, Texans, that stat, Victor, is incredible about a team playing their third game at home in the preseason. Just on that alone, I would play against Houston.
There you go. So official, we got the Jags over 37 from Victor, Atlanta +1 from Chip. I'm going to look at this Steeler game here against the Bills, our old buddy Ross's Buffalo Bills. He's not going to be happy with me. I don't care, Ross, because it's preseason football time. So let's throw all that out the window. I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers here. It's a big number, 5.5, and it opened at It's opened at 2.5. But again, this is one of those. It's close to what Victor was just talking about spread wise. You got a team here in Pittsburgh. Quarterback up in the air. Is it Russell? Is it Fields? They're battling there. There's a lot of stuff going on. The Bills, to me, this is like the Lions or the Niners or the Ravens. What do we got to play here? Let's just kind of tune up spots we don't need. We're going to look at this on offense or this on defense. This is a throwaway game for Buffalo. They're on the road. Pittsburgh, you need to make something happen here. Right? I think both of these guys are going to go. Really, Russ. I mean, these quarterbacks, these aren't – you got a guy who was drafted in Fields, a lot of hype on. Again, he struggled. It is what it is. And you got Russell now on his third team. This guy's probably a Hall of Famer. Let's be honest. The guy puts up numbers. He throws for 20-some TDs every year. He's mocked relentlessly for being bad. He's actually pretty good quarterback, even as bad as the team was last year. I'm going to take and I hate doing that because the 5.5 is such a dead number, but I look at it as what it opened at to what it goes to. Like 2.5, 3, I'm thinking, all right, Pittsburgh, 5.5, regular season, you're like 5.5. You're like, what do you do with those numbers? But here, I'm going to lay it. This tells me, like the other ones, the books, you're moving games 2, 3, 4 points. I'm going to take the Steelers, and I hate saying that because my guy Scoop loves the Steelers. I'm not a huge Steeler fan, but for the show here, Pittsburgh minus 5.5, a big number. That's a big number for me, Victor, by the way. That's go like that preseason 5.5. Let's go down to Chip, see what he thinks about my Steeler 5.5 thought.
I think you're probably right here, and I'll tell you why. Both these teams got waylaid the opening week, and they're going to make adjustments this week. I think that Tomlin is going to be a little bit better at it, and I think with the dual quarterback situation that the Steelers have there, they're looking for some production out of these guys, and the Bills may be just sleepwalking through the preseason. This is a big number. And like I said, the sharps and the professionals are the guys that move this number to where it is. So I'd have a little bit more confidence in them than I would in, say, your layperson. And I did not use this game, but I would lean toward the Steelers here. That number is just kind of imposing. I don't see how a team that played so poorly would be such a big favorite. So I'm going to take, it's sort of like being I'm like the Antichrist when it comes here. It looks like Buffalo should be the side. I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
All right. The interesting analogy there, Victor. Could try to save the show off of that one. He's with the anti.
I'm with you guys, definitely. Buffalo has struggled. Their last 5 preseason games have gone 1-4 against the spread. This is usually the game in which Pittsburgh does excel. In their second game of the preseason, they've gone a perfect 4-0 against the spread in each of the last 4 years. Again, we touched on it a little bit earlier. You would think the points would be the play, but it's actually these larger favorites, the 5, the 6, even the 7-point favorites that have done well. So I'm with you. A few shekels on the Steelers, I'm in.
Right. I see these move up. I think you have to. Now, in week 1, we saw, or week 2, whatever it is, Hall of Fame games stand alone, but we saw a couple of these that moved more than 1.5 points kind of go down. But I think this week they're all going to kind of pay off because of based on what you were saying, quarterbacks, the moves, stuff like this. Whatever. I'm going to lay the 5.5. Normally, it's not something I like to be late to. You don't want to be late to the line moves, right? They talk about the close in line value. Obviously, you don't like being late to move, but it does win sometimes. It does win. So Steelers, my official pick. Falcons for Chipper. Over 37 Jaguars for Victor. Mars says he also has the over Cardinals and the Colts game, 36.5. It's bouncing around there. I got to say, do you think that a little Murray comeback player of the year here for Arizona will be in play? I don't hate this, right? Because you got the Colts team. I think they win the South. Everybody's going to be all over Tennessee. Tennessee, all over the Texans. I'm going to go a different route and think the Colts win this. But I kind of like the over here. I think we got 2 teams trying to establish a little identity for themselves. A 36 piece. I could agree with that. Chip, what do you think about Mars 36 here?
I was expecting, like you, I'm expecting Murray to have a comeback season, or at least have an improvement. I mean, he's been such a major disappointment since he's been there. Maybe he should have stayed in center field for the Oakland A's. They're improving. I don't know how much. I don't know how much he's going to be able to do with this Arizona Cardinal team this year, but I do expect them to be a little better than what we've seen in the past. The problem with the Colts is who's quarterbacking. Richardson, is he healthy? He's like say a Cam Newton, today's version of who he would be. Probably doesn't, and we don't even know if he throws the ball that well. He's just really young, and I think that's the best thing the Colts have going for themselves. He played very limited action in week 1. I'm really wondering what Indianapolis is going to do with him this week.
Yeah, that's why I think he's going to come out and play because, granted, he was hurt, but you got to see what you have here because you saw flashes of him during the regular season, but then he gets hurt. And now is a team like this going to say, wow, J.J. McCarthy goes down for the year. Do we really risk sending out our franchise quarterbacks in these kind of games?
It's such a dilemma, Sean, because you have to give these guys experience. I don't understand why they're sitting down like in Chicago. They're sitting on Williams, or they're not seeing as much action as they can.
They're sitting Bryce Young. Like, he's not going to play this preseason. Did you see the guy play last year? How the heck is he playing?
Experience is the best teacher. I mean, Johnny Unitas didn't start until he was 25. Aaron Rodgers sat out for a while. Some of these guys need to mature in the position. And this is why Bo Nix may be a competitor in Denver, is because he's already had, 32 years of college experience. So I'm not too sure exactly. I think the more chance you get to play, the better off you're going to be. And if you're afraid of getting injured, you're not going to have a career. Go out and have the career. Go out and play. And,
listen, we're not saying We're not
fault or
saying
they may.
Richardson's sitting out. We're not saying that he's saying I don't want to
No,
play because I
right.
get hurt. It's more the team saying, "Oh, let's not play the
Right.
guy." But
Right.
Victor, who I know the kid on who's that UT San Antonio or Texas State last year had like 7 or 8 years of eligibility. He finally graduated. Where's he in the NFL? He's 31. He should be playing.
He
But,
should. He definitely should. I'm with Mar on this, providing he got that nice line of 36. Again, give me a minute to talk about key numbers in the NFL in regards to totals. If you're a sharp bettor, you know how important the number of 37.0 is in the NFL. I mean, look at the various different scoring combinations, given the fact that a touchdown's worth 6, an extra point's worth 1, and a field goal's worth 3. 20-17, that equals 37 points. It's the most popular score in NFL history. A team wins 20-17, that's 37 points. 23-14, 24-13, 27-10, 30-7, 31-6. All of these popular scoring combinations come out exactly to 37.0. So, Mar, I'm with you. If you're going to play it, make sure the line is under 37. I just finished doing my key number over-under chart in the NFL for the last 3 seasons, even regular season action. The most popular number that's come up in the NFL in the last 3 years, the number of 37.0. So with that the case, if you like the over, get it down to 36 or 36.5 and then bet your over. If you like the game under, try and get it up to 37.5, maybe 38, and then play it under. That's how important the number of 37.0 is when it comes to NFL over-unders.
And then Mark, this was from before. Hits you with a data schmatter like it doesn't make a difference. There you go. I didn't like that one, Mark, because this one agrees with you. So is this one now? Is it okay to have?
Yeah. What do you think now, Mark? Mark, data is results, actual results. If you don't have a database, you're betting with an arm behind your back. That's all I got to say.
Stop GOR guy. Good afternoon. They thought on taking the Cowgirls under 10.5 wins totals. Absolutely, Gio. Absolutely.
With you.
You got you got rid of the running back because you thought he was bad, and then you bring him back when he's worse. You got rookie offensive linemen. Now, CeeDee Lamb will probably play in regular season, but this is a team that just screams. And I like Dallas. I mean, I've talked about my little Randy Whiteside mini helmet back there. I'm a Cowboy guy. Love Bill Bates, Jay Novacek. We can go on and on and on. But this team is bad. The coach is a mess. The quarterback's looking for $60 million. What is under? This is an under for me. I'd rather take the Redskins to finish second than Dallas.
I was just going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if Washington was second place in that division. Good play, smart play.
Right. I think that Daniels guy might be pretty good. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. Nevada Maverick. What do you say? Looking forward to coming season. We all are Nevada. I mean, this is as much as I like doing baseball and I like college basketball because there's a lot of games and I like betting a lot of stuff. But football is king. Come on, once a week you can really dive into the numbers. As our guy Victor King here, he's got the computer behind him. He runs out that database. It is just chock full of information, and you need it to win. And here it is, week 2 NFL. Right? I can't believe it's August 16th. My kids have been in school the whole week already. Will Minnesota get another quarterback that JJ is out? They got Nick Mullins, who's a starter in San Fran. Why would they get him? I mean, do you need another guy? I don't think they do. I mean, Sam Darnold played on the crappy Jets, threw for 20 touchdowns for the Jets. I think he did threw for 20-something touchdowns with Carolina, too, at one point. So the head coach is an offensive coordinator type guy. I don't think they need. How many quarterbacks do you need? You have 2. You have a starter, you have a backup. And let's be honest, if either of these guys get hurt because they're backups and battling for a reason, does it make a difference who their guy is now in August or if they get somebody in November? Hello, the Browns rolled out Joe Flacco off his couch after they lost 4 quarterbacks. So it's a moot point. I say no. Why waste a spot on that? I'd rather try to get another rusher or something. I don't know. I don't need a 5th quarterback on my roster. Chip, you want 5 quarterbacks on your roster when you don't have one yet?
Well, nowadays you may need them. The quarterbacks go down so often nowadays. I mean, look at the Giants. Tommy Cutlets got to play last year, and he was just kept on the squad because he was a local Jersey guy, and they never really anticipated him getting in the game. So being deep with quarterbacks is important if you're a contender. If you're a team like this, it may not matter. You're probably just going to play through the season. But it's such a vital part. The NFL is now quarterback driven. I mean, it's so obvious. The passing game has changed. They changed the defensive rules so to help the quarterbacks' efficiency. And like I said, if you're a top club, I think you can use 3. If you're not, I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, I agree. Victor, what do you think? You need these guys. First of all, Minnesota's not a contender, so there's that. So
Minnesota's a snake bit team. Aside from the Cowboys, I don't know of any team in the NFL that improved themselves the least in the offseason. So Dallas and Minnesota, man, oh man, bottom of the barrel. Talk about snake bit. Look at the Minnesota's quarterback misfortune just over the last 8 years or so. If you remember back in 2016, Teddy Bridgewater, he had that non-contact knee injury before the regular season started. Of course, in 2023, Kirk Cousins ruptured the Achilles in week 8. And was having a fantastic year up until that point. And then, of course, J.J. McCarthy with the meniscus injury that requires surgery ends his rookie season. You don't need another quarterback. Just try and get through this year and then do what you can next year. We love who we drafted. He looked really good in the second half last week, McCarthy, and we hope that we got a keeper there.
Yeah, you hate when guys get hurt, especially a rookie goes down. You're like, man, is this guy ever going to be the same?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still you need your knees in football. Call me crazy. I think I need my knee in regular life. If I tore my meniscus, it would bother me. And he's never going to be the same. Let's be honest. He'll never be the same. So if he busts out, it's going to be like, oh, he was a terrible pick. Well, you never know what you had because you blew out your knee. Sad. Football's back. It's the early bird first season. Full season pass for just $5.99, folks, if you haven't already. And hit the like buttons here. And we are all on the Twitter world as well. You can find us. The truth is coming in again. Do you think the NFC North can be the best of it? Here we go. Will you stop with this, the truth? We know you're a Lions fan. We know. Come on. What are we doing here? I think the AFC North will probably be the best division because you got the Ravens. If Burrow's healthy, you got the Browns. And, the Steelers find ways to win games. So that to me is the best one. I don't know if anybody else has a different. Maybe you think the AFC West because you got the Niners and the Rams are kind of all right in Seattle. I don't know, but to me, you got that wrong. It's the AFC North.
Yep,
it's the AFC North
from top to bottom. You got that right.
Art says Rams are flying under the radar. I just mentioned the Rams. I do think they fly under the radar. No one really talks about Stats Patford out there. The guy, he's in a nice system. If Kupp is healthy and Puka Naku, whoever that kid is, the guy was awesome last year. If they could somehow get both of those guys working and they got a little running back action, the offense will be there. I don't hate this. Maybe the Niners don't, there's nothing left in the tank after a couple Super Bowl runs. They've had quite a few Super Bowl runs the last few years, if you haven't noticed, folks. They're a very good team, but sometimes you can just die out a little bit. Thoughts on this one, guys? Because again, it's the Niners, and it looks like now Ayuk's going to stay there. He's not get traded, but this would be worth a shot, I think, to me. I wouldn't say no to this. Chipper, would you say no to taking a shot on the Rams?
I like the Rams. I like their coaching for sure, and it's a team that I haven't really focused in on during the preseason yet. We're still early. I do have a 3-pack out there for you this weekend, but I'm right now. I'm not high on the Rams as far as how much intense viewing I've done of them and evaluating them. I really haven't done it with them this year, so it'll be up.
All right, Victor. Any thought on if you would take a flyer on that one as opposed to?
There's definitely value on that side. I already myself played the Niners under their win total for the season.
Tough schedule, man. That's a tough schedule. They got short weeks.
Very tough schedule. So if you like value, there's value with the Rams. I'm with you.
Well, that's the last comment today.
Okay,
that's fine. Hey, listen, we're gonna try to probably do about an hour on Fridays. And the comments will come as we start bringing the show back. It's only been 2 weeks now. Last year, sometimes the comments would be rolling forever. But listen, we appreciate everybody popping in today. George Lobo's coming in. Here we go. I love it. I can never stop, George. Now they got a guy running the show who does his own live show and does not stop when a new comment comes in. So we could go to 6 o'clock. Victor's probably like, oh, Lord, help me. No, we can't go to 6 o'clock. Like the Bengals or the Jags for really deep runs. The Bengals, how healthy's Burrow? Because you hear mixed reviews on this guy. They say like it's not he doesn't have the same strength. The Jags are just in a tough division. You got the Texans there. I think the Colts are a solid bunch. And who knows what Tennessee's going to be. But out of the two, I'd probably lean Bengals. Chipper, what do you think? Bengals or Jags?
I think Tennessee is a huge question mark. I really wonder what's happening to that franchise in the most recent seasons. Still have time to let this thing play out. I mean, there's a lot of we've only had 2 preseason games left. After this weekend, we'll have 1, of course. And I'd just like to see how it unfolds.
Bengals or the Jags? Which one you like better?
I like Bengals and Burrow's healthy, that's for sure.
Victor, Super Bowl run. Bengals or Jags? Or deep
definitely
playoff
Bengals. The Jaguars' schedule still scares me a little bit. You know, last year they played both of their across the seas games over there in London town on consecutive weeks, and they chose not to take a bye after that. And at the time, we thought that was a pretty foolish thing. However, they were on a roll, even on those games after playing over in London for 2 weeks in a row. It finally caught up to them in the last month of the season. I think they finished going 1-5 straight up, the Jaguars. And guess what? This year's schedule has got the exact same situation in place for Jacksonville that I do not like. In consecutive weeks, they'll be playing in Europe against the Bears and then against the Patriots, and then they will be playing the very next week at home against Green Bay. I know that the schedule makers are the ones who do the schedule, but in some cases they'll check with the team.
Yes, right. They get a choice when they come back from Europe if they have a bye week. Because the Jets did the same thing when the Jets played after they came back. We don't want a bye week. We don't want a bye week. What are you out of your mind?
Yeah. So I don't agree with it. I think again could catch up with them in the last month of the season. So of the two, definitely Cincinnati, potential Super Bowl run, provided, knock on wood, that Mr. Burrow stays healthy.
That's the key. I mean, as good as he is, we talk about like what if kind of guys. You know, he's been hurt. Got hurt first year. Got hurt last year. Is he injury prone? We'll see if he gets hurt again this year. Then I think he really raised the flag on him. Like, you can't really trust Burrow. I mean, come on. Houston overhyped. I don't know if they're overhyped, but they're definitely a fan favorite. Everybody loves C.J. Stroud. Let's see how you do against a good schedule. Me, I like the Colts in week 1, but I'll tell you what. You could unload. I hate saying stuff like that. Unload on the Texans week 2 against the Bears, rookie quarterback on the road. I'll be all over the Texans week 2 -3. That's for sure there. We got Ari's coming in. Thanks for your input. My early Super Bowl. Eagles, Ravens. I like the Ravens. I think they got a lot to prove. The Eagles.
See that,
yeah. I mean, you got the Niners and the Eagles. Who else you got there? Oh, we got the Lions too. We forget about the Lions. Sorry, the truth. The truth. So like, how do you forget my Lions? We're just bad mouthing for being on the hype train. Listen, how good is Hurts? Is Sirianni going to get fired? You know, I mean, he's got new offensive coordinator, defense coordinator. You're the remaining factor here because they're not going to get rid of a quote unquote franchise quarterback. You're going to be the one out the door if things go crazy here, right? Or no?
It's one of the top matchups from an odds perspective, so it's not like you're going out on a limb there with the Eagles and the Ravens. I like the Ravens part probably a little bit more than the Eagles part, but I don't see anything wrong with that.
George is back. Call me crazy. I've been called a lot worse than crazy, George. It's all right. I'm picking against the Bills a lot. I see regression. I'm probably picking Arizona against the Bills to cover the big point spread. What's that, like a 9, right, opening? That's like a 9-ish? I want to take it over there. Why do I think it can be some sloppy ball? And we'll get some points on the board in that week 1. Listen, for me though, I'm not a huge let's late 9-10s in the NFL really, but I want to see to get on Arizona for me personally. I want to see a little Murray. I got to see how he's gonna perform. Granted, going to Buffalo in September, at least it's not a snow game. Well, you never know. My brother's up there. It could be, they could have a blizzard for wake up. Oh, no snow today. You wake up and there's 8 inches of, lake effect snow. But are you a big, huge line guy like that? Would you be comfortable laying? Forget about cross that A&T name. Do you normally go down the route of, hey, it's a 9, I'll lay 9 or 10 at home with a team, Victor?
No, and in fact, it looks like some action is coming in on the dog in that. I'm showing pretty much a straight, some 7s, but more 6.5s than anything else out there in that particular game. So I have to interpret that there's some actual Arizona money in that game for it to cross over the 7 and come down to a current number of plus 6.5.
I'm going to
for opening week. Cardinals
opening
versus
week,
Bills. Yeah. Currently, I'm showing 6.5s and 48.
Yeah, I just flipped over to the screen here to see. Yeah, 6.5, 6.5.
Right.
What? This was a 9. I know this was a 9.
I know.
Oh man,
that's some potential sharp money coming in on the dog.
Oh man, and I got like 6 or 7 dogs already week 1. I missed out on this move. Oh my goodness, that makes me sad. That makes me sad on that one. Mar. Rams, Chargers. I'd have to do an under in this game. I got McVay don't care about the preseason. The Chargers. Who's quarterbacking for the Chargers? Herbert's hurt.
Easton Stick.
Easton Stick. The best name ever named after a hockey stick, right? I mean, Easton. I love it. For me, I'm under. I don't want to be involved in that game more.
Right, under or nothing in that game. Definitely, guys. The line's a little too low for me to bet the under at 33 to 33.5. But it's under or nothing.
Future Super Bowl. KC's a no for me. I don't like giving out like the favorite if I'm going to do a future. It would be Ravens. I like the Ravens, Bengals. Even actually, you want to take a crazy one on the Jets, believe it or not. I know Rodgers hasn't played in a year. But the NFC, I hate taking a favorite like Detroit, but I don't think there's anything else out there other than the Niners. I mean, Niners, Philly, Detroit, I take the longest shot out 3 because I think they're the 3 best teams. Probably Niners, Detroit, and then I think everybody else in the NFC. That's just my rankings there. Chipper, what do you got? You got any thoughts on the NFC?
I want to tell you, Sean, I really don't like playing futures because I don't like for my mindset to be locked in that
we talked about this.
I'm always looking at a team that comes to key situations, and because I put them out previously and I made a commitment to it, I've got it. It just boggles. It fogs my mind up like this. I'd rather have a clear head and wait and play the games individually than let the bookmaker hold my money for 6-7 months before I can collect.
Victor, me and Chip were talking the other day about doing futures. People were asking about futures who we liked, or we just were talking about it in general, rather in the free pick video. And I said, I find myself, especially in baseball, like I have like a Royals over, and I find myself kind of like I gotta kind of take them because I need them to get to this total. Like NFL, like I don't know because I think you're just kind of wired that way, where if you like a team to get to a Super Bowl, you're thinking they don't have to win every week, but you're thinking in your mind they win every week because you have them going far into the playoffs. Right. Do you find that as yourself? Do you sometimes have to like take a step back and be like, all right, I still like them to get here, but they can lose a game. It's okay if I take them or take an underdog in this spot.
Right. It's okay if I play against this team, particularly maybe if maybe they're laying points on the road and you want to grab the points with the home dog in an ideal situation.
Right.
And just between me and you guys, my Super Bowl pick was, I know you probably may not like to hear it, but for me, what I put out in the our preview guide magazine was Lions against Chiefs for my Super Bowl, with the Lions winning it.
That I have no problem with that. I'm not here. I mean, I think the Lions are right behind the Niners. I think they could. I think maybe we talk about the schedule for the Niners. I think they could catapult them this year. I think they're ready to take that step.
The Lions have only 3 outdoor games all season long. 14 indoor games where they really excel, man.
Yeah. I mean, and they're going to get one of them. Okay, granted, it's in Chicago, but you got a rookie quarterback and a bad head coach and a new coordinator. So you're that good. Go in there and win that game. Go win that game.
Right.
All right, we're going to be wrapping this, put a little puppy on this guy in a second. But, man, George is coming in here. First, I got to say hi to Nate Dogg, my guy. Good to see you, Nate Dogg. Green Bay against Philly, game one. Don't trust Philly. See, this for me is a Philly game because everybody loves Love. Last year I was all over Green Bay because Love was in that system, sat, and Rodgers is gone. And it's like if you dropped a pass, you weren't going to get traded from the team. It was a team, right? Everybody kind of rallied around the quarterback, did a good job. Here, I think the hype's on Green Bay. We talk about hyped up teams, CJ Stroud. I think Green Bay is a team that everybody's going to be on. Philly ended the season terribly. They looked a mess. Finger pointing. I think this is a game they have to. It's no guarantee. I say all the time, you hope in one hand, poop in the other, see what happens, fills up first. But this is a spot where I think they have to come out and put that last year away from them. Be like, all right, that was a fluke. Things got away from us. Here's our year. Let's go. So I think in Brazil, I like Philly. That's my thoughts on that one. Victor, I don't know how you feel about Philly this year. I'm not a huge Philly guy, but I think this is a spot where you have a bad year. You got to come out and just take a good team down.
Agreed. There is a chip on their shoulder. The Eagles, you better freaking believe that there is a big-time chip on their shoulder. And we can't ignore that at one point they were a maybe 1.5 point favorite, and they're up to a solid -2 right now. Yeah. So money coming in on the Eagles too.
Chipper, thought on this game, or you haven't gotten that far down the road?
Well, it is the opening week of the season, so there's plenty of time between now and then. But when I think of Philadelphia right now, I just think of Saquon Barkley, and I think he's going to be a huge addition to this team. They like to run the ball, and I think that's really going to help the Eagles this year.
Well, definitely take a little pressure off. I mean, they got pretty decent wide receivers there, so it would definitely help with the play action. Yeah, and he could catch the ball too. He's not just he doesn't come out there with like brick hands. He should be all right. Bengals, Lions, Super Bowl. Again, I like the Bengals. It's just a question of if Burrow's healthy. I don't know. I think the Ravens talk about a chip. I don't think they have a chip. I think they got a chip Chirimbes on top of a tree on their shoulder.
Right.
They got a lot. That was just
a star.
That was a despicable. What a ungodly showing in that chip. And that's not saying because I had them in that game, but holy cow, what a disgrace! Hi, we're not going to run the ball. Please. All right, we're going to go for another 2 hours. We're going to go on that tangent. Recapping the picks today. 6-3-1 for the week with the crew here, by the way, headed into Friday's action. Atlanta Falcons +1. Jaguars over 37. The Pittsburgh Steelers -5.5. And we all agreed with each other, too, which is usually a pretty good thing. I mean, I know it's – people don't like, oh, everybody agrees. Sometimes it's all right we all agree. Even if we disagree, we'll throw out a different little tidbit on something, but we're all in the same canoe here for all three games. Possible 3-0 sweep. So get the brooms out. Get ready for a profitable Saturday of action. Hit the like buttons on the way out. Thanks for popping in here. Victor King, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Gamblers World.net website. You can get Victor's picks, Chipper's, mine, 10 other guys if you want the premium stuff. Again, these are free pick videos. We do them 5 days a week. But, what's free? Everybody loves a free sample at Costco, but who knows? That's sitting out there. Someone's hands touch it. You might get sick from it. But everything's in a package. You'll be all right. It's a little healthier for you. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not because I eat the Costco food. But I love the samples. I can't help myself. I go during lunchtime. All right, everybody. We're out of here. Appreciate everybody watching. Back Monday with Chip and Doug. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.